What's up guys, Magic Knives here, and today I'm bringing to you a random review on a foosball table. This is the Sports Squad FX40 tabletop mini foosball table, and as you can tell, it is a tabletop foosball table. So it does not have any legs, even though it comes with little legs that you can install when you assemble it, but I'm gonna talk about that later in this review. But as you can see, it's a smaller size. It's going to be probably bigger than you expect it to be. When I was ordering this product, I expected it to be more or less more like that size in in terms of diameter, or sorry, width and length. So you will have to prepare for that. It will be a little bit bigger than you expect it to be, but still not as big as like a full-size one. And because it's a little bit miniature, it only has 3 rods that you can handle or use, as opposed to having 4 rods for the full-size table. And personally, for a tabletop, for a mini foosball table, I figured this was a acceptable compromise, you know, because there's even other mini tabletop foosball tables that are only about this size almost, and it's only 2 rods that you can handle. So that shrinks the amount of players that you can have playing at the same time to only 4. You could obviously have doubles, 2 players versus 2 players for that, but then the table's really small. I just didn't want that little of people to play together. You know, when I wanted to have this as an option for my after school kids, I wanted something that could have up to 6 kids playing with each other. So even though obviously with the full size one you could have up to 8 technically, I figured this was already perfect compromise. This was acceptable to have 1 person on each rod, so it would be 3 players against 3 players. So if you're not serious about foosball and you're fine with all that, then this is definitely good for those casual players, and just for your kids, family, just your friends and all that, as long as they're not super serious about foosball. Moving forward, as you can see, each rod is a 3-man, and I kind of like how it is, just because, you know, especially you can it's easier to get the balls out of the corners and all that, so works pretty well. The scoring is right here on top of each goal. When you first get it, you will realize the switch, or the little indicator that you move up and down, will be quite stiff, and that's because there's little bumps underneath here that cause that. So either before you assemble this part, you might need to use an X-Acto knife to shave that off if you do not want this like bump feature. But otherwise, if you're playing with this and just keep working it in, it will start to get a little bit smoother over time. So honestly, I feel personally, I would just keep working the little switches here, and it would soften up over time. So it's not a huge deal, but do keep that in mind. With as far as how the ball goes in, it'll go through here, and then it'll come out, as long as it's level, it'll come out to the end like so. So you can easily just pick it up, whatever. One thing I've noticed is if you hit the ball hard enough, it will bounce out sometimes. And I know as far as professional foosball games, even if it bounces out, it still counts. However, I do want to think of a possible way to minimize the chance of it bouncing out, just because there's a little ledge here that I think is what's causing that. So after it hits the back of the goal here, I think it kind of tends to bounce right here on the black little ledge, and that's what causes it to pop out. So I believe, I'm hoping that if I just put a little bit of like black electrical tape here, I make it double-sided, and then just put that here, maybe that will minimize it. I'll update you in the comments if that is an option, if that does bother you and you want to do that. So I'll let you know if that works at all. But also, so in regards to assembling this table, it does take quite a bit of time to put it together. It can take, I believe, anywhere between half an hour if you're really fast to maybe around an hour. I think for me it took me about 45 minutes to an hour, and so you will need to follow the instructions that it comes with, because unless this is just not something that you can put together without looking at the instructions. It will take some time. When you are assembling it, you will need a Phillips head screwdriver. Be really careful and just take your time with screwing it in, because it's not like when you're screwing it in, the screws that they provide you, it's very tight, so you want to go very slowly and not try to like use like a electric or drill just to, maybe you can, but just be careful. You might crack the wood by accident. I don't even have one, but even if I did, I don't think I would want to take the risk, because there were a few parts that I could tell if you did it too fast or too rough, there was a chance that you would either ruin the screws or even worse, the wood that it was holding in. So, and don't be too worried about screwing it all the way in. Just make sure it's enough that it'll hold fairly firm, and that you could hold on to it fairly confidently without it separating. Okay, and back to the legs that I mentioned before that it came with. It comes with 4 little legs that you could install, but based on reviews that I've read up on Amazon and other places, it's really not very sturdy enough to hold the weight and also take the torture that this would go through, right? If you're playing pretty fast-paced games, these legs are very thin. It's probably not going to withstand the amount of force that you're going to put it through. So I didn't even bother with the legs. I just, left it as this. So you put it on the table, and if you do not want to have it shake too much, you can honestly just put it on a carpet or some rough surface, not like a smooth surface, and you'll be fine. It'll still handle everything. It won't shake or anything much. Or maybe you could even use the cardboard cover that it comes with to have it as a little base, and maybe provide some rough cushion underneath, or a mattress that you could just glue on, and then maybe that could be your little anti-skid base. Speaking of which, if you want to have a makeshift cover so you could preserve the life of the table and not have dust on it, or if you need to have a way to carry it around, save the box that this comes with, and I just put it as a lid on top, and then I took some paracord, I wrapped 2 around it, tied the ends together, and then have it as a makeshift carry handle. So this way, instead of having to use 2 hands to carry this, because again, you don't want to be too rough with this table, I have it as a makeshift handle just kind of around the rods here. Carry it like this on the side, just like a briefcase basically, and therefore I could carry it pretty much anywhere with me if I needed to take this to work, or if I needed to carry this for whatever reason, I could at least carry it on the side with 1 hand instead of having to carry it with 2 hands. It comes with 2 foosball balls. As you can see, these are a little bit worn out now, because me and the kids that I work with have been playing with this table quite a bit. They're having a lot of fun with this. So if you have kids that you have or you work with, this is I can pretty much guarantee you they're going to have a lot of fun with this. There's really no age minimum for this. Kids as young as 5, as long as they can, rotate their hands or fingers, any kid can play this for the most part. There's no real difficulty, and the best part is, because it's a tabletop table, you can play this either on a high table, a low coffee table, even on the ground. There's no height issues here compared to the full-sized tables, foosball. I mean, unless you get those foosballs that maybe that adjust height or whatever. But other than that, the rods are pretty sturdy. I mean, obviously I wouldn't put too much force pushing down or pulling up. Definitely don't overspin the rods too much, even though that is a common tendency with amateur foosball players or newbies as well. They're pretty smooth. Again, the grips are, even though they say they're rubber, they're really very plasticky, so you could very well change the grips if you wanted a more rubber feel. That said, even if you wanted to keep these grips, it's still fairly okay, at least with my standards. You want to make sure they're tightly screwed in, at least when you're like pushing it all the way in, because if you're being too rough with it, you know, you haven't screwed all the way in, there is a chance that the grips will fall off. So easy fix though, you can just tightly push it, screw it back in, and you're good to go again. But do keep that in mind, because that has happened a few times so far. And other than that, overall this table weighs about 15 to 20 pounds more or less, so not that heavy. Again, easy enough to carry around, especially if you follow my tip on saving the box lid and using some paracord to make a makeshift handle. Price wise, I got this about between 70 to 80 Canadian dollars, so very affordable compared to those few $100 tables that you can get that are full size. That said, guys, this is probably the best tabletop foosball table out there right now. I'm having a lot of fun with this, even for only having 3 rods. I get to play with this with my family, my friends, even the kids that I work with. This is a pretty awesome foosball table. Hope you enjoyed this review, guys. If you have any more questions about this product, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button down below, and I hope to see you guys in my future videos. Until next time, peace out.